Housing is a basic human necessity, but unfortunately, access to affordable housing is becoming increasingly inaccessible in Canada. Hi, my name is Sunny, and a quick like share alongside smashing that like button will be highly appreciated. Housing affordability in Canada has become a concern, especially young ones, as the cost of living alongside property valuations has become almost unaffordable. Housing supply is not a big problem. There are many brand new condos up for sale everywhere. The problem is people don't have that disposable income to afford them even at today's prices. Home ownership amongst Canadians, especially the young, is declining, which is not a very good indicator for any economy in the long term. People are burdened with mountains of student debt, diminishing employment opportunities, uncertainties in US tariffs, and ever increasing housing costs, which make owning a house a distant dream. Shockingly, one fourth of all outstanding mortgages will renew in the next 24 months, and payments might increase by about 30%. Increasing consumer and business bankruptcies and the effects of Trump's tariff on Canada will shock Canadian economy in a way not seen in generations. Therefore, major policy and monetary stimulus needs to be implemented so that we don't fall into depression, God forbid. I worry about how we are going to absorb the housing inventory that was built at higher costs. Someone has to take a loss: the lender, the builder, or the buyer. Hope you get my point. Despite the Bank of Canada's rate cuts, housing unaffordability and uncertainty about the US tariff on Canada remains a significant concern for most Canadians. People feel priced out of the housing market for many reasons. Ontario and BC remain the most frothy housing markets, whereas some balance might be achieved between housing costs and what people can afford. Loose monetary policy post COVID and runaway immigration remain two major contributors to Canada's housing unaffordability. I believe housing market needs two things: either a major price correction which is underway or a price stagnation so that affordability comes back into the picture. Solving the Canadian housing problem as rents and home prices rise nationwide is a $1 million question. Explosive immigration contributed to demand as building new affordable housing was ignored for decades. Housing cannot be affordable until we fix permit delays, cascading taxation on a new housing project, and unemployment. Making housing affordable for end users is the key, and CMHC could increase their exposure in ensuring broader range of mortgages. I believe the days of housing as an easy means to make a quick buck by flipping are long gone, and this should not have been encouraged in the first place. The Canadian property bubble has been expanding since 2002, reaching alarming levels that has deflated somewhat now. Ontario and BC became the most speculative, where typically median house prices rose by over 300% in the last 15 years. Consequently, over 60% of a typical family's income is required to cover a standard home ownership expense, which used to be less than 30%. Therefore, personal debt, including mortgage debt, has reached unsustainable levels for an average Canadian, especially when income levels remain almost flat when inflation is considered. Such high property valuations are unsustainable, thus keeping the dream of home ownership elusive. We all need a roof over our heads. I know Canadian housing problems cannot be solved overnight. However, a careful yet financial prudent approach that encourages new buildings at lower costs is required. Using new technologies with cheaper yet scalable modular housing could be a game changer. Canada has a huge land mass. Still, population is only concentrated amongst a handful of cities. Therefore, developing smaller cities could be much cheaper than metros. Incentivizing jobs near these smaller cities could help migrate the population from metros to these cities. In the end, political will is required, but it is doable. Housing affordability is the biggest challenge Canadians are facing these days. Discouraging people from buying multiple properties with their hard earned money while making only tenant friendly laws feels like a communist idea in a capitalistic society. Rather than incentivize entrepreneurs and savers, putting restrictions by discouraging buying and selling, which is the same as any other asset class like stocks, should be avoided. But make sure people do pay their share of capital gain from these properties. Removing inefficiencies from delayed permits and reducing cascading taxes on new construction should be executed ASAP. Rather than fixing things structurally, policymakers are resorting to stopgap band aid type fixes. I'm not a financial advisor. Please consult one before investing based on your personal financial situation, and don't forget to do your own due diligence. If you like the content that I make, please help me by liking my channel, sharing it, and do subscribe to it. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.